Welcome to First Move, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Let's have a live look at Bitcoin. And joining me are my co-hosts, CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Capital Markets, Lawrence Lewton, and Managing Director of International Content, Emily Parker. Yeah, getting ahead of myself. We got some good crypto markets this morning. Let's have a quick look. Right now, the CoinDesk Bitcoin price XVX index is trading ahead at 7%, $48,915. The CoinDesk Ether price ETX index is over $4,000 again now, also soaring 6% over the past 24 hours. And the CoinDesk DFX, CoinDesk DeFi index, is advancing about 2% for the day, up 410 points. Yes, so we're seeing a lot of green candles right now with our reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014. And I want to point out that with crypto Twitter, let's check in with our tweet of the day. Jack Dorsey is also responding to Cardi B, who's asking, do you think crypto is going to replace the dollar? Jack responds, yes, Bitcoin will. Seems very bullish right now. Emily, I don't know if you want to weigh on that one.
Yeah, well, we know that Jack is very bullish on crypto, right? That's not news. Bitcoin replacing the US dollar, I think I'm a little bit skeptical of happening anytime in the near future. I don't know, Loris, what do you think?
You're going to have a lot of countries object to that. And like, no, it's not. and nor should it. I mean, it's kind of like, don't get me started.
Well, yeah, it's also like weird. I don't think China would be into it.
Cardi B.
So,
but, he's answering Cardi B. Cardi B is into it. He's also kind of just making some comments on, Web3. He's also tweeting, you don't know Web3. The VCs and their LPs do. It will never escape their incentives. It's ultimately a centralized entity with a different label. Know what you're getting into. So he seems to be propping up Bitcoin while also, casting some shade at Web3. Why is that?
Maybe he got into a fight with someone at Polkadot. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? No. Sure. Whatever.
Emily, any thoughts?
Look.
Well, I think we could also, I'd love to hear Gary V's thoughts on this, but Jack has been hinting about the need for a more sort of decentralized social media. And obviously he's, not going to be leading Twitter anymore. But the question is he hinting at that? I don't know. But yeah, we can ask our guests about it.
That's right. We've got Gary V and our CoinDesk Spotlight coming up right now.
The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
So talking about the markets, Dogecoin is up over 3,100% year to date, but at its height in May, it soared over 13,000% thanks to the meme stock phenomenon. And Tesla CEO Elon Musk, who is a particular fan and just a week ago said his electric car company would test out accepting Dogecoin as payment for merchandise. We don't often hear from the Doge founding team, but Santa came early this year. Joining us now to discuss is the co-creator of Dogecoin, Billy Markus. Hello there, Billy. So for privacy purposes, you do not show your face in public, so you sent us this cute avatar instead. So starting off, considering Doge's runaway success, can you describe to me why you think it has become so popular as it has?
I think even when I made it back in 2013, so like 8 years ago, it just had like a really like nice ethos to it. The community was really excited, and really used it. So back in the day, people like tipped it all the time on Twitter. And at that point, it was worth like very small fractions of a penny. So if you got like 50 Doge, that would be worth like, less than a penny. But it felt good to get a bunch of Doge, I guess. So I think that was a big part of the reason, just really the community being excited about it.
Did you ever imagine it would become as big as it is today? And maybe you could go into a bit of your origin story while you're at it.
So no, basically if someone woke me up this year and I've been in a coma for like the last 2 years or something, I'd be like, yeah, it seems about right. I never expected it to be like this, but basically in 2013, I had made another like silly cryptocurrency for fun as a weekend project. And that did horrible. It was the Bells like Animal Crossing currency, and no one knew what that was at the time, I guess. And then when I saw Jackson Palmer, my co-creator, made a website, Dogecoin.com, to kind of like make fun of what was going on in cryptocurrency at the time, I thought it was really, really funny. And on the website, it said, if you want to make this cryptocurrency a real thing, hit me up. And I was like, oh, I got to make this. So I just made it in a couple hours and then threw it out there. And then the rest is crazy history, I guess.
Billy, it's so cool to have you on the show. So I think a question that some people will be asking is that this year we've seen kind of a meme coin explosion, and we've seen the popularity of some other dog-themed coins, notably Shiba Inu, right? And on the surface, they are using, a similar meme. But can you explain in your own words what you think are the biggest differences between Dogecoin culture and the culture of Shiba Inu? Because my impression is that those are two very distinct communities, and I'm just curious how you would explain the difference in community there.
I mean, I don't know the interworkings of the SHIB community because I don't have much interest in cryptocurrencies that I don't own, kind of like everybody in the space. But in terms of Dogecoin itself, Dogecoin started from an actual meme, which is the Doge meme. That's why people ask me, like, why didn't you pick a cat? It's like, that's not a meme. Like, the Doge is a meme. It was a meme in 2013, and it was the most popular meme. It's, I think, the best meme on the internet. And the other kind of main difference, like technically, is SHIB token, for example, is a token on the Ethereum blockchain. So if you want to send like pennies of SHIB token to somebody, it would cost like $15 or $100 or whatever gas fees are at the time. And Dogecoin costs fractions of a penny to send around on the blockchain. So like tokens, Ethereum tokens, usually you can make in a couple of minutes. Same with BSC tokens. It just is really inexpensive to make. Dogecoin has its own blockchain. It's based on Bitcoin technology. And so development is a lot different for that. But yeah, in terms of the community, I don't know much about the community for SHIB. So yeah.
Yeah, Billy, I as you're talking, I'm looking at the avatar, and I just kind of want to take you for a walk and throw a stick or something. I'm not gonna lie, it's just really, really tempting.
It's adorable.
But yeah, getting back to Jackson Palmer, he doesn't quite sound like a fan of Doge, but it's really taken off as the price went up, and you get a lot of developers now working on Dogecoin. Has it proven itself, and do you think it's become more Bitcoin, more in the spirit of Bitcoin than even Bitcoin itself?
In a way, I think Bitcoin in the beginning wanted to be both a currency and a store of value. And throughout the years, it's basically more just like we are a store of value, and like it's not really pushed for any type of transactions really, other than just kind of buying it and hoarding it. So I do think Dogecoin fits a niche that's needed, which is a cryptocurrency that's both like lighter hearted and fun and inexpensive to move around. And I wouldn't say it's more Bitcoin than Bitcoin. It's 99.9% Bitcoin code really, and just some numbers are changed. But it does have a different ethos, I feel like.
So Billy, it seems that the Dogecoin, a lot of people say that 2021 is the year of the Doge, right? Like this is kind of the year when, Dogecoin has been building for a while, but this is the year that it sort of blew up, right? What do you think? Do you think there are some other factors that are contributing to that? Like, I don't know, societal factors or just larger things that might be behind this explosion of Dogecoin that don't have to do with crypto?
Absolutely. I was looking at, there's this Google Trends graphic throughout the year about the thing that was most searched in the entirety of the US. And for the month of May and part of June, Dogecoin was in all states like the number one thing searched. So I think it's just this year has been very strange. People, last year people were just cooped up. At the beginning of this year, people were also cooped up. The GME thing happened. People wanted to, take take control of their own finances, but in a silly way, I guess. And Dogecoin kind of fit into that. And Elon Musk started tweeting about it, and it just became kind of a phenomenon. So absolutely, like that's kind of how it is with crypto. People, it's overreactions in every direction, and for the smallest things. And in this case, there's kind of a perfect confluence of events, I guess, that made Dogecoin the most amusing thing on the internet for people for a time. So the hype was really, really high. But because of that, a lot of attention was paid on it. There's renewed interest in like development. A foundation was made for it, or revived. I guess there was a foundation in 2014, but it's been revived now. And so, things are moving forward in a healthy way, I think.
You mentioned Elon, which is funny because you've had developed some sort of rapport with Elon. You've become internet friends, at least on Twitter. So I'm wondering, is Elon good for Doge? And I say that because, earlier this year, Tesla bought Bitcoin, SpaceX bought some Bitcoin, and everyone was really enthusiastic and excited in the Bitcoin community until he started kind of dumping on Bitcoin, saying it wasn't good for the environment. So just want to put that thought out there and hear your thoughts.
Cryptocurrency is this kind of free open market. And when people say like it's good or not good for it, like, I don't know, the price is just about people buying and selling and whatever reasons that they buy and sell it. So I don't pay a great deal of attention to that other than making memes about it. So I think if people are using Dogecoin and having fun with it, and there's renewed interest in it, and that's kind of how, or what Elon tweeting about it led to. I think that's a good thing. So I don't see anything bad about it.
So, Billy, I'm sure you get versions of this question all the time, but, obviously Doge now is being used more as a form of payment, and that's great. But one of the criticisms of Dogecoin and just of meme coins in general is that there's no underlying value and that it's just pure speculation, and that a lot of new investors are going to really get burned because there's just nothing to allow it to sustain itself over the long term. I'm just curious what your response is to that criticism.
I think that criticism can be levied at every single cryptocurrency if you want. So I don't know, it's all the same to me. Like Dogecoin is Bitcoin with a dog on it, and some parameters changed a little bit. So the value of Bitcoin and the value of any of this stuff just comes from people buying it at whatever price at whatever particular time they decide to buy it for, and the whole space is like that. So I don't know. You usually get that criticism from another cryptocurrency, and you're like, it's the same. Like, okay, whatever. So it's just like a bunch of weird tribalism in this space. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, that's the primary utility of cryptocurrency space since I've been in it since 2013 has always been gambling on the price. So that's what the people want right now.
So, Billy, you mentioned before that there was the Doge Foundation was founded in 2014, and then it just sort of slowed down, and then it got revived. And when you look at transactions and interest and what have you, it seems to come in waves. What will make it sustainable? What do you think will make it last?
I think community and people being interested. Like, cryptocurrency doesn't die when the price goes down. It dies when no one cares anymore and no one uses it. So as long as Dogecoin is used, as long as people are excited about it, as long as people are talking about it, it will sustain. Cryptocurrency should sustain. That's kind of the idea of it. It's a decentralized thing, and hopefully people will just keep using it.
So what cryptocurrency do you think?
Do you think that Doge is better for payments than Bitcoin, as Elon has insisted?
So I don't want to say like better or worse, but I can like talk like in technical facts about it, where Bitcoin fees to use the layer 1 Bitcoin, not Lightning Network, but to use layer 1 Bitcoin would be about like $2 a transaction. When the Bitcoin chain is popular, it's closer to $11, and that's right now. X years from now, the there's not going to be much new issuance per block. So then the fees are what keep it being mined and secure. And Dogecoin won't have that problem because Dogecoin will have a fixed issuance per block forever, essentially. So it can always be really inexpensive. Right now, it's like fractions of a penny to send any amount of Dogecoin around. So in that way, technically, at least for the layer one, it's better for payments and microtransactions or small transactions. And then I don't know. Otherwise, it's just the community based. If that's kind of more ethos of the Doge community to actually spend it, then I think it's technically better, because if you accept it, then people will use it.
So, Billy, I understand you're getting involved in NFTs, and obviously, if you're issuing an NFT, anybody who's made their fortune on Doge should definitely pay attention to it. But as well, what other cryptocurrencies other than Doge do you find interesting or more promising even than Doge itself, if that can happen?
So I have like 0.003 Bitcoin or something like that. And I have most in Ethereum and some Dogecoin that's been tipped to me. I don't usually buy cryptocurrency. I used to in 2013, and then I would find myself panicking and selling. So I have like these embarrassing Coinbase sells at like $100 for Bitcoin. But yeah, basically, Ethereum is pretty interesting to me because I have some, and I got them from selling NFTs. So again, and I think in the crypto space, when you have stuff, then you all of a sudden get interested in it for a magic reason. So I find Ethereum interesting, and it's, my avatar is part of my NFT collection. So I just kind of, make NFTs and people buy them for whatever reason. And I'm like, cool. So yeah.
Billy, just one final thing. Just off the top of your head, what do you see happening with Doge in 2022? That could be anything from iterations, new use cases, price prediction, anything you want to say. What do you see for next year?
I have no idea. I have no idea in any of the crypto space. But we came up with a mantra way back in 2014, which was one Doge equals one Doge, which I've actually seen parroted in all sorts of different communities. But that was just basically like, the price is crypto is going to go crazy and wacky, and who the heck knows what's going to happen with that. But one Doge by itself will always be worth itself, and just have fun with it and use it, hopefully.
It's a wild ride. Billy, such a pleasure. Yeah. So adorable. How can you not love that sheep? All right. Thanks for joining us. That was the co-creator of Dogecoin, Billy Markus. Coming up, we'll be checking in with internet entrepreneur Gary V. Can't wait.
Hi, I'm Jen Sanasi, co-founder of Streambed and co-host of The Hash. You're watching CoinDesk TV.
The Crypto Markets Update is presented by Grayscale, the world's largest digital currency asset manager.
Let's have a live look at Bitcoin. The CoinDesk Bitcoin Price XVX Index currently trading at $48,740. Bitcoin is up almost 7% over the past 24 hours. The CoinDesk Ether Price ETX Index is now trading just under $4,000, but still ahead about 5.7%. The DFX CoinDesk DeFi Index is at 410 points, trading up 2.1% for the day. Joining us now to discuss the crypto markets and more is Gary Vaynerchuk. So VeeFriends, the NFT collection created by you, Gary, reaching a market cap of over $500 million. Unbelievable, according to World Coin Index. The floor price for a VeeFriend NFT is 9.5 ETH, or just over $38,000. I remember when you launched VeeFriends in May, there were a lot of technical glitches. You had to delay the launch. It wasn't a smooth ride. So describe to me why it has achieved the transaction volume market cap it's achieved today in such a short amount of time. Is it because of the product, or is it the Gary V brand?
I think it's the macro market, right? I think first you have to recognize that the whole space is very high. We're in that kind of 95 to 99 internet stock place where things are just very expensive as an overall market because there's a lot of demand and supply is now catching up to that demand. But at the tippy top, the top projects, there's still a lot of demand. And so I think first it's a macro NFT year. That's number one. And I think number two, it's my track record, with 20 years of building successful businesses, whether it's Resi, the restaurant app, selling to Amex, or Empathy Wine selling to Constellation, or VaynerX, my holding company, being a $250 million a year revenue business, or building my dad's store, or being a good investor, or building a big profile, or writing 6 New York Times bestselling books. Like, I think the success of my career is something that a lot of people are betting on.
Yeah, Gary, of course, you've accomplished all those things. You've conquered a lot of media. But where are you learning NFTs from? Who are you listening to? I think this is a question I've asked perhaps before, but nonetheless, is there somebody now that you're like following and listening to and you're learning about NFTs? Because everybody has to learn about it somehow. Is there somebody you're following and listening to?
The beginning of what is it even this was more of 17 and CryptoKitties. I bought Ethereum a couple years before that. I understood the very top level concept. December and January was a lot of Discord reading, NFT 101, YouTube watching stuff like this, just very basic work. Since February, it's not about listening to anyone, it's listening to everybody. What I do for a living and have always done for a living is really be a strategist, an anthropologist, a consumer behaviorist. And so hours and hours of reading different Discords and reading Twitter and just watching consumer behavior. I'm not looking for somebody to recap what's going on with the consumer to me. I'm looking to do that work myself. So it's, countless hours of watching how people react to Wolf Game, to Bored Apes Next Thing, to Cool Cats doing this, to Doodles doing that, going to Art Basel and listening to conversations, watching the market from a math standpoint, but more importantly, watching the market from a qual standpoint, the way people talk, the way they react. Why did this Adidas thing happen? Here's Clone X that. I am day trading information, gathering thoughts, and then really doing my homework on the artists or the operators. I think one of the great misnomers of this NFT space is people are like, the community, the community, the community. Well, listen, Bulls fans were an unbelievable community in the 90s until Jordan and Pippen were gone, and then they sucked, and then that community cared less. When I first got into Web 2.0 in 2004, 5, 6, 7, and I went to San Francisco, there wasn't one person in San Francisco that even knew the Golden State Warriors existed. A funny thing happened to that community when they were good. So the communities are great, but they only care about the floor price going up and pumping the bag. This is a game of the operators. Who's the artist? Who are the operators of the IP, and are they capable over the next 2 decades to build brand and demand?
So, Gary, I don't think a lot of people expected for NFTs to blow up as much as they did this year, right? I mean, it's been building for a while, but this year, the explosion, I think, took a lot of people by surprise. And you are known for, having a good crystal ball instinct. So what are you looking at for next year? Anything that's not on the mainstream radar? I mean, specifically in the crypto world. I mean, what do you see blowing up next year?
I think photography NFTs have a real big shot of being the breakout. I think this was the year of the PFP, of the character, an adjective and a character and a group, and away we went. I think photography is brewing. I think the other thing we have to look at for 2022 is, will this continue, or is just going to be too much supply against the demand? You hear Coinbase and Instagram talking about scaled NFT platforms. You look at an OpenSea like an eBay, you look at those two entries as a scaled game. It's going to be very fascinating. There's still a lot of cynicism from the 30, 40, 50-year-olds. There's incredible subconscious understanding for under 20. So there's a lot there, but I think the overall theme is the market right now is predicated on a lot of greed and a lot of financial incentive in the very short term. Every single Discord is asking its founders, do something to pump the floor right now. And so we're in day trading mode, which I think is incredibly dangerous. And so what I'm going to look for in 2022 is this going to be the year where kind of this hyper bubble pops? And then to me, that represents April 2000 with internet stock. To me, NFTs are forever. It's going to, completely continue to evolve into all parts of our lives, ticketing, memberships. We know smart contracts can do a lot more than just be collectibles. What I'm really watching for is the moment to go buy the 10 or 15 projects I most believe in. And I'm not doing that right now. I'm doing that after the inevitable little recorrection, because I do think there's too much short-term behavior in the marketplace.
So Gary, I'm sure a lot of people are listening very carefully to your predictions. So can you just clarify for a second, why photography NFTs in particular? Why do you foresee those blowing up in 2022?
I think people collect things. I think people forget how much money is spent on collecting, and when people say things like, this is stupid, who collects, a JPEG, as they like to say, I always laugh. I'm like, when I look at the person's account, they collect sneakers. Like, why would you pay $3,000 for a pair of sneakers? They collect art. Like, why is it good to spend $8,000 or $15,000 on a picture you hang on a wall, but not on an NFT? They collect sports cards. They collect marbles. They collect all sorts of things. People collect photography. There's some incredible photography NFT projects out there. And, I think people like Justin with Twin Flames and others are really charging. I can see it. I can see the demand kind of building a little bit. And you see in the collectible world, the last 30 years, you see it go from sports cards, then to comics, then to toys, then to video games, back to cards, you kind of have these little cycles. And I think, how many more character-based PFP projects does this market need, right? We've gotten to every animal and every adjective. So I think that becomes fatigue, and then people become fascinated with other things, that I see enough smoke in photography that has me intrigued.
Awesome. All right, Gary, we got to wrap. But before we do, another thing to look forward to in 2022 is VeeCon. Do you want to say a quick word on that before we go?
You're very nice. I think one of the things I'm proud of with VeeFriends was I used the smart contract. Every VeeFriend comes with a ticket to VeeCon, which is a conference I'm throwing in Minnesota in May of 2022 at US Bank Stadium. And it's a 3-year conference ticket. And yesterday we announced a bunch of the early speakers, People Pleaser, Kevin Rose, many, many others. And I'm excited about it. And I think it's going to be a very meaningful conference for this space and entrepreneurship and creativity. And I can't wait for it.
Awesome. All right, Gary, see you there. Thanks for joining us. That was Gary Vaynerchuk, creator of VeeFriends and VeeCon, an exclusive conference for VeeFriends token holders happening in May in Minnesota. All right, checking in next with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day.
When we say we want to reimagine money, it turns out we're going to the heart of the matter. Imagination has always been a key part of what money is. Imagination, in the form of cultural creativity, is also something that the cryptocurrency community has in spades. And to the outsider, that can be a reason to dismiss it as frivolous, as something built on nothing. To dismiss it for these reasons, though, is to ignore that all money is imagined.
Welcome back. Time to check in with CoinDesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of CoinDesk, the State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick. So, what are you looking ahead to?
Good morning. Yeah, 2021 was a weird year. Next year, I think I'm going to be looking forward to whether or not we actually get some kind of firm regulatory agenda from Congress, whether that includes stablecoin regulations or addressing many of the other needs that we've seen folks like acting CFTC Chair Rostin Benham and SEC Chair Gary Gensler refer to. So, whether or not Congress will address the question of is there and should there be a federal regulator for digital assets. Also going to see whether or not we, start getting to some of these investigations and SEC actions against startups moving into more of a actual trial phase. So, for example, this year we were talking about the SEC case against Ripple at the beginning of the year, and that's really kind of just been in this administrative procedure phase for most of the year. It's been attorneys kind of filing back and forth, trying to limit discovery or expand discovery, trying to subpoena some individuals or not subpoena them. So we haven't really gotten to the substantive part of the actual trial of whether or not Ripple sold XRP as an unregistered security. And I think we're getting close to the point where we might actually start seeing answers to that question, or at least start seeing the parties try to address that question in a court of law in the coming year.
So, Nick, speaking of stablecoin regulators and regulations and stablecoin issuers, our very good friend Do Kwon has countersued the SEC, or has sued the SEC, saying that there was some procedural issues, et cetera. Can you go into that? What exactly happened there?
Yeah, so this one's getting a little complicated from like a court's perspective. So what happened is, according to a bunch of legal filings that were excellently reported by our colleague Cheyenne, in May, the SEC began investigating Terraform Labs, Do Kwon, and the Mirror Protocol. And they tried speaking to Do Kwon and other members of the team voluntarily. And at some point, for whatever reason, they decided they needed to issue subpoenas instead. And that led to the infamous mainnet incident that we've been all keeping an eye on, where Do Kwon was served a subpoena at mainnet by someone at the SEC or by someone the SEC contracted. And after that, Do Kwon and Terraform actually sued the SEC, claiming they were out of line, they were out of their jurisdiction, things like that. The SEC filed a separate filing, so it wasn't a response to the Terraform filing. It was their own, kind of process, petitioning a court to require Do Kwon and Terraform to respond to the subpoenas that they've already issued. And that brings us to last week, when Terraform and Do Kwon filed a response to the SEC, saying basically they were out of their jurisdiction. The subpoenas were, out of line, unnecessary. And now the SEC has a chance to respond not only to the allegations from last Friday, but the original Terraform / Do Kwon suit from a month or two ago.
Yeah, he's also claiming that the SEC has no jurisdiction because he's based in Asia, so I hear.
Yeah, that's part of it. The claim is that Do Kwon and Terraform Labs do not conduct business in the U.S., and therefore they're out of the U.S. jurisdiction. The SEC's claim is that they are, because you can use the Mirror Protocol if you're in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. He has no interest in U.S. policy, so he says to us.
None.
Anyway,
No interest,
thank you,
no
Nick. That was CoinDesk Managing Editor of Global Policy Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on CoinDesk.com. All right, that's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker. Thank you, Lawrence Lewitton. I'm your host, Christine Lee, and I'll be back live at 3 p.m. with All About Bitcoin. Also, coming up later this morning, our newsroom reporters join Twitter Spaces to open the floor to discuss the crypto wars of the year ahead in regulation, Layer 1 protocols, and market sentiment. They'll touch on mining, meme tokens, the metaverse, and more. Check in today at 11 a.m. Eastern to join David Z. Morris, Nikhilesh Day, Liza Gritsky, Ankar Gabole, Muyao Shen, and Andrew Thurman on CoinDesk's Twitter account and ask them anything. That's right before the hash, which starts at noon. You're watching CoinDesk TV.